Hi, I'm Kelly Reese, and today I'm going to show you my Functional Vision Assessment Kit. My first item is a slanted desk. This allows for students to work straight on with their items at task. I also have a black cloth for me to lay down for the students to be able to have good contrast with. For different items, they can see it a lot more clear with a solid background. I have a non-slip mat so that when children are working, their items won't be moving around for them and they can work without any distractions. I have measuring tape so that I can measure the distance from the student's eyes to the item that they are focusing on. I have a yellow bin so that the students can put items in the bin when they are done. This is considered the all done bin, and it's yellow because yellow and red are great colors for students that have CVI. I have some books here. These books are great for students to be able to scan the pictures and find items that are of interest to them. So for instance, even though we're not reading the book necessarily, being able to look at the pictures and notice items that happen to be favorable to them, and they can actually take the picture right off and put it back on. So in this case, the student's favorite item would be a koosh ball. And as they continue to work with the difficult backgrounds, the items will get smaller and smaller as they strengthen their vision. And another book, similar, actually already has items in it, and it's got the glitter to draw the attention of the students, because shiny for students with visual impairments is considered movement, so it really draws their attention. So on each page, the students can find the glittery snowball, the snowman. This truck will help with tracking. It's got sounds, and you can pull it across using the sounds for students to track. Or you can turn the sound off as the students only use vision and not sight or hearing to track the item. Another great tracking device are items with shapes where they can actually follow where the shapes are going on the different tracks. Sometimes students, especially students that are nonverbal, they have different buttons that might speak for them or grab the attention of the teacher. In this case, this one lights up. But a lot of times what they'll do is they just simply go and without even looking, they're able to push the button. By having something around it, in this case I'm using a roll of duct tape, the student has to visually look for the button spot, bring their hand into it, and push the button. So it's a little more detail-oriented as opposed to just simply being able to just guess where it is. They can't just simply push. They have to actually tilt their hand and push down in. Similar to the button, this is a cup for students to eat their snack out of or put things into. And again, the red tape kind of will focus their eyes a little bit better. But this helps because, if the snack is flat on the surface, again, without looking, they can just grab and hopefully grab their snack and bring it to their mouths. In this case, they actually have to look, grab within the cup, and eat. And then eventually you can take this red lining off as they strengthen their vision. Using a slinky is a great way for students to work on their shifting of their gaze. And again, with the shininess of the slinky, it gives a sense of movement, that it is in fact moving. The pen light, as you can see on the table, will work with muscle balance. You can actually shine it towards the students too to see their reaction of their pupils and to help guide different viewing. Using a stuffed animal can help with shifting gaze too, as perhaps maybe the teacher is speaking to the animal and pretending that the animal is speaking back. So the shifting of the gaze between the teacher and the stuffed animal. Also, being able to bring the animal close and far away from the student will help with convergence and also blink response as you bring it in quickly. Using books with texture, for instance, the book Fox in Socks would be able to help the students with understanding their everyday items with what's related in books. So for instance, Fox in Socks, you can actually have true socks and have them here so the kids can touch them, play with them, recognize them in their everyday life. Then from there, once they get a good handle of that, you can move on where the socks would actually be glued right onto the page so they can still feel them, but they're not able to move them as much because they would be glued right on, so they could still just feel them this way. Once they feel comfortable with that, you can take a picture of the socks. Again, the same socks as used before, but now not so 3D. This is actually just the 2D picture. And then eventually going right to the actual picture and being able to relate, oh, I know what those are. Those are the socks that I was able to physically feel. Using clothespins will help with being able to match colors. The students can remove them and place them on there, along with their depth perception. So being able to see that this is how, we are able to clip them on there with their depth perception. Using placemats of different patterns will also help the students, as you can lay one placemat, or in this case it's a material, down, and then asking the students to be able to find certain items. So for instance, being able to find these little eraser flowers is pretty simple on this background. So the students can be able to pick them up using their depth perception and contrast on the simple background. From there, you can make it a little more difficult of a background by placing a different type, a little less simple. Now this one has stripes. Again, trying to find those same eraser shapes. You always want to make sure you use something of interest to the students, so even if it's like M&Ms or a snack, that might guide and inspire their focus. Again, moving even more difficult, you can see how now the erasers are starting to blend in a little bit more to the background. More difficult yet. Again, this is over many, many months of work. You don't automatically just change from one to another. But see that now they're a little more challenging to see. So the students might not even know that they're there initially. To finally, one of the most difficult backgrounds. Lots of contrast going on there. Very complex and difficult. Building those skills. Okay, building blocks. Having these blocks can help with students' depth perception and then also visual memory. So if they see, okay, I built 3 blocks up, I take them back down. Okay, now the student needs to build what they saw me do, which was 3 blocks up. Using a number puzzle, being able to use their depth perception and being able to place the items in the right numbers. Working on colors also. If you say, yep, find the yellow one, place it in. Another item, again with the shapes, being able to find the shape, and actually this has nice textiles too, in that there's round circles that you can feel, and then it's got the same on the purple background. Even though the colors don't match up, the textures do, so that will help the students be able to find which side that shape's going to be on. And then the feeling of actually pushing it right through gives them even more of a feeling of success because they know that it's correct because it's now disappeared. Again, with the lines, this is just straight lines, straight line background, pushing it through. Another way that you can help the students is just by giving them items of one side so that they know, okay, it's going to be on here, but which one is it? Oh, here it is. This activity, again, similar to the others with the buttons, by students actually looking at their different switches and dials, depends on how the animal will pop up. So if you push on this, it's not going to work, but this is a button. If you push on this, it will. So by seeing that this needs to be pushed over, you'll get the reaction from the animals. Slide down, again push. This one's like a key, you have to twist it. And then this was just like a switch, tip it over. So that's a good way for the students to really focus on their vision and seeing what needs to be done to get the animals to come up. As we move on to the older students that we might have, working on their ability to track and scan is something like a word search. And again, you can blow these up or make them smaller depending on how much the skills of the student and what you're working on. So you could do that along with mazes. And getting even more difficult to looking into some strong detail, you have to follow the smiley faces down to the smiley faces. So all you're looking at is this very small line, if it's a frown or a smile. And so that really takes a lot of visual focus to be able to see, oops, nope, it's not going to be that one. You're going to go up to a smiley face. Similar is the game Picturica. This is kind of like a spot it game or like an I Spy, where the student has to find on the picture tile a different item. So in this case it's a clock. They have to be able to scan on here and see if they can find the clock that goes with this. Again, this is for our older students as they are strengthening their vision abilities. Using letters, these are kind of nice because they're actually magnets on the back. You could have a magnet item with the letters already shaped for them and they can just match them up. Or they can even just use these as sorting with colors. There's a lot of different things you can do with the magnets. Spell different words. And they're nice and large for students with visual impairments. Looking in this bowl of colorful rice is going to be another complex visual stimulation that we're trying to focus on. So again, if you had small items of interest to the students, you can kind of mix them in there. And then naturally you can somewhat feel for the item, but you also need to focus so that you can use your depth perception to be able to grab those items out of the rice. It's also very nice with the sensory textiles. A few more items we have here. You can use this with Play-Doh, or it's laminated, so you can even use crayons, and the students can start focusing on writing numbers. So you can write the number 1, and then it just rubs right off using, you know, a tissue or a sock, or as you see, I'm just using my finger and it rubs right off. But it's nice because if they were to take Play-Doh, make it into a nice long snake and be able to put it on here, and then also maybe make it into small balls and be able to put it on the dice items for all these different numbers. This is more so for children with CVI who might not be developing as far as wanting to play with their hands and their feet as infants. So being able to put these on their wrists and around their ankles, the students will start to look at these items because of the shine and the color and start to play with their hands because of these being on their wrists. So we help them develop those skills that don't come as natural for them. And lastly, this is something that you could also do with students that are getting older as they're beginning to learn to read if they're not going to be using Braille. Being able to be sight readers. So again, we're outlining in red as it draws in their focus, and they're seeing the shape of the word to be able to pick it up as opposed to trying to sound it out, which often works well for our students with visual impairments. So I want to thank you for your time, and hopefully some of the items in my kit are very helpful and useful. I know that I'm looking forward to being able to use them with some students in the future. Thanks!